last forever, I don't got tattoos. I lost squad members, I can't act cool. I like my bitches short and thick and ain't gotta act rude. She won't treat me like I'm the rest cause I ain't that dude. I seen some things as a child that changed my thoughts forever. Try to do right, I'm on their ass and I won't fucking let up. Hit from the side, just don't be lazy, lift your fucking leg up. To all my niggas going through a struggle, keep your fucking head up. Anything you going through, I'm a witness, it won't last forever. Just stay down and hold your side, don't change up like the weather. If he around me, then he got a ruler, but he ain't trying to measure. I got it in here, me some weed to get my thoughts together. Hard in the summer, but my heart cold, so I gotta rock the sweater. We came in this roll alone, so we ain't gon' leave out together. I know I'm blessed, I know my worth, so I can never settle. You can't show yourself before you, only time can tell. No deal, get one time to fuck up, then you can't go here. Whoa deal, I got too many stuff to bring a pole. No deal, I won't set my soul ain't high and go here. I won't school, I stay loyal to my niggas and my bitch, they to the cold here. It's a new 40 on my head, the bitch a blow him. It's a different dope inside the blunt, we getting lows in. Smoking on some dope from across the country, got a choke in. Keep the bitch like a receiver, put the bitch in motion. I'm drinking on some shit that change the mood, we call it potion. It can't even hide the 30 in the clip, it be poking. Got no walk them beam, we got some smoke, let's get it going. White girl playing with her, no Lindsay Lohan. My little cousin slipped up and lost her baby, she was 16. Ain't doing shit for free, I want 200 for a 16. Glock with a dick and 30 clip with a red beam. She make it hard for me cause all that nigga sold a big dream. Don't lose on thug behind no shit you saying that you ain't me. All my niggas slide, you know what's up, bitch, you can't play me. I see the picture clear, my life a movie like it's HD. I'm up 50K screens and I ain't got no post on say cheese. Light a little weapon when I up it, better say cheese. This life taught me some lessons, fuck the school, I want no degree. I'm just trying to take care of my people, how you hate me. When a nigga got caught with that lethal shit was crazy. Bitch. The trap baby shit, don't do that.
Finish up.
The person I've been having an affair with is your friend Lavonda.
Lucretia. Sit down. Lucretia, sit down. Sit down.
You are sorry. You are sorry. You and...
Douglas, who do you want to be with?
I want to be my wife.
I don't want you.
He feels that if he confesses that you have it in your heart, maybe, to forgive him, and that he can return to the family world that he wants.
Maury, I don't want a family with him.
You don't?
No, I don't.
Why not?
Be honest,
yeah.
I've been messing with somebody too.
Because I would be mad too.
You know, this is not the first time. This is not the second time.
Really?
No.
I love you, and I'm so sorry. And I know it's going. I love you, Dad.
What's going to happen? You all have kids. How many?
You better hope they're his. And I know I'm wrong, but two wrongs don't make a right.
That's very true.
I watched the video like 17 times this week. It's tough to watch, man. That's tough to watch.
Yeah.
Right.
It's the fucking crying at the end that kills.
Welcome to the Get Hooked podcast, episode number 23. As you can see, today we're going to be talking about who loves harder, men or women. So this is one of those age-old, gender-specific questions. So, we have some panelists here who are going to do a deep dive on that. As always, week to week, this is your boy Hook. And we lost one of our panelists earlier. Hopefully she can rejoin us. But I'll go ahead and let the people who are here go ahead and tell you guys who they are. Go ahead, Kev. It's on you. You're the me mug.
Hold on. Can you guys hear me? Because I can't hear you guys at all.
Yeah, we can hear you.
Oh, well, if I'm introducing myself, I'm sorry. I'm going to have to get some headphones, but I'm Kevin. Nothing special. I'm a 39-year-old father of 4, engaged. My life revolves around my family, and that's it.
All right.
Sounds good. To the point. All right, Miss Bowman Cobb.
My name is Latoya. I'm a wife and a mother of 3.
All righty.
On me. Hi, everybody. My name is Yolanda. I go by Yo. I'm from Allendale. Always give props to the hometown. By day, I'm an HR professional. And at any other time, I'm a realtor for David Lloyd Realty. Call me if you need to buy or sell a home. Thank you.
All right. All right, man. And this episode is actually sponsored by Burger IM. They're located here in Columbia at 1033 Roberts Branch Parkway, here in Columbia, South Carolina. They have more than 50 plus crab burgers, 12 wing flavors, quality milkshakes. And if you haven't been there, go ahead and holler at them, man. And most importantly, they're Black owned. So we always want to support the home team. All right, man. So we'll go ahead and get this thing started. For the audience, make sure you react, make sure you subscribe, make sure you share the content, and make sure you comment, because we wanna hear your comments on this topic as well. We want to know how you feel about it. So, Kevin, can you hear us? I know we thought we lost Kevin for a second. I don't want to be double teamed by the women over here. We'll give Kevin a chance to go ahead and get things right. So Yolanda and Toya, man, I'm gonna go ahead and
There we go.
Yeah, you can hear us now, Kevin?
Yeah, I was like, I couldn't hear. I got scared.
Nah, really. I thought you punked out because we got 2 women on him. Like he would leave me by myself, but it's all good. All right, so we gonna go ahead and get this thing cracking, man. So I'm just go ahead and throw it out there. What do you guys think? Who loves harder, men or women?
I say men. And I say why.
Okay.
And I think it also just depends on the person. But, I'm not a man, obviously, but I'm going to say men just for the simple fact that you guys can do all kind of dirt, right? But as soon as a woman does it, it's like the end of the world. You ready to fight. You want to slash cars. You putting people's stuff out if you live together. Let me say that. But then again, it also just depends on the person. But I do say men.
So, Toya, you don't have your stuff put up?
I have.
Okay.
Many years ago, but I have.
All right, Kev, Yolanda, what y'all got?
You want me to go?
I think Yolanda's seeing something. She must be muted. All right, we got you on mute. What you say, Yolanda?
For me, women, in my opinion, love way harder than men do. My reason for that is normally all the chances that they give men for all the times we mess up stuff.
That's true.
And I'm not just talking about like cheating and stuff, but just if we mess up finances, if we have shortcomings, we lose a job, we ain't potty training the kids right, anything. Like y'all stick too thick and thin, and then to the point when it's over, when you gave the many chances, the cutoff is so it's so hard. It's over when they say it's over, and that's because in my opinion, women will give you all the chances, go through all the stops to make sure things work. And then once they realize it don't work, they're done. And there's no point of no return. With a man, you know, we you know, we'll if you let us get away with stuff, we just gonna keep doing it. You know, and whether we love you or not, I mean, in reality, if you're doing a bunch of craziness, you don't really love that person in the first place.
True.
But you know, sometimes we just like the convenience and the we know that person. So a lot of that plays into our feelings versus women is more like, in my opinion, more genuine love, and they usually go through all stops to let you know that like they're it.
Okay, that's fair.
I think Kevin summed up a lot of what I was
Even
gonna
if they
say.
know you're not with all that anyway, even if you're not their girlfriend or wife.
Now go ahead, Yolanda.
Oh, I was saying I agree with a lot of the things that Kevin is saying. I think that men tend to, not all men, just some, tend to love women a little too late. I think in the courting process, if that still exists in 2020, I think that women try to do a better job of actually getting to know the person and the character of a person before they choose to love them. And I think as time like goes on, no matter whatever the situation or the circumstance is, most women are nurturers by nature, most, not all. And I think that kind of like what Kevin said, even if there's some BS stuff going on, we love you through the BS. And then when we decided that we no longer want to be a part of that, or that we no longer want to offer our love, that at that time, I won't say that a man chooses to profess his love then, but I think that at that moment, that's when they show that they love the most. So they could have loved somebody early on, but the expression wasn't there because now it's a mode of desperation to kind of keep you, or to kind of really say, I should have spoke up on this earlier, and now I'm here. And typically, if a woman is fed up and done, we're done. There's very, very little things you can do to kind of bring us back from that, especially depending on how extreme the situation was that made us leave in the first place.
Okay. All fair points. So if and Yolanda, if I can expound upon some things you said, you said that sometimes men love women too late. So it's like men, you know, we give her all in the beginning, but you know, after women have given us second, third, fourth, 17, different opportunities to get it right. That's at the point where we want to start acting better, for lack of a better word. Now, let me ask though. So, what if there is no BS that happened? Because contrary to popular belief, I don't think that women only call it off when there's been BS involved. What if there's no BS involved? What if there's been no infidelity? What if there's been no signs of cheating? What if there have been times when women have just simply said, you know what, I just don't want a relationship anymore? Like, how does that even factor in if there's been no BS involved? And this isn't just a Yolanda question, this for the panel. I'm just curious to know everybody's thoughts. So what do you guys think about that?
For me,
if
you don't mind me speaking first, I'm sorry. I've been at that point when I was younger. Got to a point in a relationship where it just didn't feel like it was going anywhere else. And I felt like I didn't live my life the way I wanted to. It wasn't no fault to the person I was with. It was just that I just wasn't into it no more. And I mean, I'm still cool with that person to this day. Of course, we have children together, but yeah, when it comes to something like that, it's just sometimes it's best to move on so that person can live their life, because you don't want to hold them back.
That's fair. Anybody else have any comments on that?
I do. If Toya doesn't,
so you can go ahead.
I would still go back to what led us to that point. And I'll delve a little bit deeper. I think that a lot of times people are not honest. I feel like if you can't be honest with yourself, you can't be honest with me. So I think that a lot of times when people engage in relationships, I won't say that it's always a motive, but for at least one party, it probably is. And whatever that motive could be, it could be self-progression, whatever. I think that if you are going to really love somebody or be open in engaging in a relationship, that you're going to be very expressive about the things that you expect and you're seeking in that journey with that person. And things can change. And so, kind of to Kevin's point, you can't grow out of love with the person and not be anything else. But I guess my question would be back to the original root cause of, were we honest in the beginning with each other about what we hope to grow to be? Because I think that largely in part, communication is key, but not only communication, comprehension. Because I can communicate to you all day, but if you don't understand or comprehend what I'm saying to you, it's like talking to a brick wall.
Indeed.
Also, just making sure that when you even enter a relationship, you both are on the same page. Because a lot of times, one person, you may think that you're on the same page, but you're not. And that's when the other factors come into the relationship, and you have a whole bunch of complications, misunderstandings going on. So I think it just boils down to making sure that you and your partner or whoever you may be dealing with are on the same page at the start of the relationship.
I totally agree.
Yeah, that makes perfect sense.
I didn't learn that till I was 35.
Hey, TT, can you hear us?
I can hear y'all. Sorry.
Okay, all right, no problem. So TT, what we're talking about right now, and everyone is pretty much giving their own opinion on it. But who do you think loves harder, men or women, and why?
I think women love harder, of course, because women deal with way more and they are accepting of way more. Like in my past experiences, I've dealt with the cheating. And I guess with women, we always want to see the good in a person. And we sit there and wait and wait and wait for the good to come out in this person. And it sometimes it doesn't. So I believe that women definitely work harder than men.
Okay. As the moderator, I normally don't like to give, my opinion or anything, but Kev, I refuse to leave you hanging tonight. I'm gonna take one for the team. So
give your opinion.
Yeah, my take is, I think that men love harder, and I have a variety of reasons that I think so. Now, one of the reasons is, in my, at least from my experience, is that women, they're less dependent on their significant other for emotional support. And what I mean by that, you don't need, with women, you don't need to lean just exclusively on your mate to give that emotional support. You got your girlfriends, and you have these group chats, these secret group chats that y'all think we don't know about, but we know y'all got them going on. So y'all, you can.
Oh, man, don't.
you have the support system. You have the support system, and you have these people that you can actually that you can lean on. But with men, we're much more. When we in our group chats, to be honest with you, we talking about sports. We're talking about all this other stuff. One thing we're not talking about is our feelings. So I'm not gonna go to my
He's absolutely right.
And talk to them about, hey man, I'm going through this with my old lady, give me some advice. That's just not the nature of what we do. So now when we break up with somebody, more times than not, when we vent to our significant other. And that's part of pillow talk. But when that support is gone, when you've broken up with that person, and the person that you need to vent about is no longer there, we really have an alternative option. So personally, I just think that the emotional support is there less for men than women. So that's my take on it.
That's true. I agree with that because I used to be one of those that expressed my feelings until I realized the other guys wasn't doing it, so I quit. But I did notice, even in previous relationships, because I would say in my current relationship, I can actually, even if I'm upset with her, I can tell her what I'm upset about. In previous relationships, I always had to lean on women for advice or somebody to vent to if I had some other situation. Like my dad always tells me every time I have something bad happen, he's the last person to know because he's the only man. And that's the same with the friends. The friends don't find out anything until it really hits the fan. because we don't really express to each other, you know, any of the ins or outs of our relationship. Unless we're looking for advice or something like where to go on a date or, you know, where to find some nice clothes or something of that nature, we don't really express ourselves to each other. That's a big issue we men have. And usually the woman is like the crutch for pretty much all our emotional needs.
And because I don't want to speak for women, I'll ask the women on the panel, like, do you think you have a bigger emotional support system than men? Or, you know, do you think that factors into maybe some of the reasons that men may take it harder?
No.
No? Okay.
I think it's subjective.
I don't believe so.
Yeah, I think it's subjective. I mean, like, if they're your real friends should know you. Now, that doesn't mean that you should tell them everything that's on you. I mean, my real friends, we can talk like that. I don't expect them to be yes people. In fact, I expect them to tell me things that they're probably thinking that I'm not looking into deeper, or, you know, to kind of put me in check if I'm kind of being a little on left field. Because I mean, that does happen. But I think that goes back to the communication and comprehension. But I think that's even further to go back to childhood. I think that with men, you guys are not taught to express any kind of emotion, especially, you know, frustration or just, you know, good, bad, or indifferent. I think the good is more tolerated, but anything with your frustrations, your feelings, or whatever, because you may be seen as soft. But I think that is more debilitating for us, you know, going forward in the future for the Black family, the family, for just the combination of men and women to go forward, you know, for heterosexual relationships. So that's all I can speak about. That's what I know. But I think that's very detrimental, because if you're not able to communicate and express that, and you're going to feel like you can't, then you're not really being honest with your partner, and somebody's not going to be able to understand your needs because you can't communicate. And you can't assume because you said a thing that I comprehended what you meant, because it makes sense to you, because that's what you're used to. And if I'm trying to speak to you in a particular way to understand where you're coming from, you're going to mistake my question asking as being combative or interrogating, when I'm really trying to understand you or whatever your issue is. But that's just my 2 cents.
Okay. Toya, TT, any comment?
No.
She said everything.
Yeah, she said it all.
I was saying, Yolanda said everything pretty much.
Sorry,
Pretty much.
I couldn't hear Yolanda. I was trying to figure out why.
Let's go, Yolanda. Yes.
Yeah. But all you need to know is Yolanda said everything that TT and Toya were thinking. So
She said everything.
I think that you do have, like, you have women who act off of emotions, and you have men that act off of emotions also. So it's complicated. It's complicated.
Very.
Yeah. Now, what I will say though, and I think both Kevin and Yolanda hit on a couple points. One thing that Kevin hit on is that our homeboys, our friends, they don't find out about issues we have going on until it's over. You know, they'll find out in the beginning, hey man, I'm really feeling this girl, and you know, we've been kicking it real hard, and that's pretty much it. And then when it ends, they'll find out, hey, you know what, things didn't work out. So in terms of the in between, you know, we just don't have, we haven't established that, you know, support system. You know, obviously you don't want to put too many people in your business anyway, but we just didn't establish that, you know, support system where they're in tune with exactly what's going on. So, and another thing Yolanda mentioned is that men, we've been taught since childhood to suppress our emotion. You know, it's just not, we've been taught, you know, in all honesty, and hopefully I'm not breaking man law here, but we aren't taught to love a woman or, you know, respect a woman or do anything like that. We're taught to accumulate as many notches on our belt as possible, and not really concern ourselves with the emotional aspect of it. So when we finally meet that person that we love and that we adore, and we don't really know how to deal and process those emotions. So, you know, that's my take on it. And I think Anita, she commented. Thank you, Anita, for the comment. I think she pretty much sums up everything that we've been talking about. Anita says, it may seem that women love harder because most women do not have a problem with expressing how they feel. However, most men sometimes cover up their true feelings or are not able to really confess that they love a woman because of fear of their boys saying they're a whip. I also agree with Toya that it depends on the person. So yeah, because Kevin, I'm pretty sure you've heard it before. That man, you whip, she got your nose open and stuff like that. That's how men talk. So we haven't been taught to really not about just suppressing our emotions, but also it's like we haven't been taught to be there for our friends either. We haven't been taught that that we need to take our friend and talk to them and really understand what they're going through. So those are just a couple things. So again, all really good comments. Another thing I think personally that it is that I think that men have fewer serious relationships.
Yeah, I was gonna say that too.
I'm on my third.
Like-
I'm on my third girlfriend at 39.
Oh wow.
Yeah, I don't count high school relationships.
Awesome.
So I had a 5-year relationship, a 10-year relationship, and a 4-year relationship since I was 18, and that's it.
Wow.
I mean, a couple of entanglements here and there, but those. Now, those women love harder for whatever reason, but God bless them. 3 relationships.
You stupid.
That's a whole. And if people are watching, they know I'm not lying.
So Kevin.
Boy, you know.
So Kevin and Hood. So kind of to y'all's point, like what made those relationships stick out to be more serious than the entertainment ones? Like what was the differentiating factor at that point for you as men to say these are the ones that I want to try to be as honest and open and transparent with?
I'll start. I know with me, it's I was raised by women, and so I was raised by strong Black women. So I know, what it. I know that women are the backbone of our society. I wouldn't put it out there. Without women, we just wouldn't be it. Period. And when you meet, it's when you meet somebody with men, we just know. And I know with me personally, it's more so that, it's somebody who makes me a better me. You know what I mean? So it's someone who teaches me shit that I never even thought about. Somebody who has a vested interest in my growth. Not just caring about, not just taking time with me, but taking time with my daughter and really just, not backing down, and you want somebody who's going to be strong and somebody who just really take. I know that's one thing with me personally. Anybody who can really hold me accountable and teach me different things and make me a better person, I'm all for it.
Same here. Unfortunately, I just learned this a couple of years ago. Find out somebody who can basically capture your whole attention. Somebody who does, we kind of each one teach one. So I learn from her, she learns from me. Somebody who doesn't back down based on the circumstances, as long as it's not anything disrespectful or anything. And I don't know, it's like some kind of like big bang magic that goes off in your head. Like in my current relationship, it was the first relationship where I actually did like courting, where you take them out on dates and all that before you actually become intimate. And I was at a point where I was so anxious to like go on dates and I would try to schedule like 2-3 dates a week just because I wanted to have more conversation and whatnot with this person because they were just, we connected so much. And the fact that the person was so, I guess, I don't know, it's like I learned so much, made me a better person as far as, being a better father, as far as like, checking on schoolwork and preparing them for college. Got one kid about to go to college next year. Learning things about like how to better your credit. Because, for me, I just knew how to pay bills. I never really paid attention to, overspending, underspending, how that affects your credit score, how to look at interest rates. I used to just go out and just do whatever I wanted. But I hope I'm making sense. I'm sorry. But I mean, overall, just somebody who looks out for you, looks out for your best, somebody that looked out for my best interest, and overall just make me more better and more conscious person. That's will hook me in. No pun intended.
And let me ask the women on the panel. Scooter makes a comment. He says that men see emotional as being weak. So how do women see that? Do you see a man who is emotional as being someone weak and someone you couldn't be with, or do you think that's actually a beneficial trait?
No. That's what I need to see personally. I need to see some emotion. That's how I know you care. That's not weak to me.
Yeah, I agree. You have to show some type of emotion, because that's the only way we're gonna know if you care, like TT said, and making sure again that we're on the same page. Because as a woman, you don't want to be the one, spilling all your emotions in the relationship, but yet you have your man over here or somebody that you've been dating who's just like nonchalant,
Have y'all been to my house the past 2 days? Because I was told this like less than 24 hours ago. Because I'm a real nonchalant person. I don't, I feel a lot of things, but I may not express it. So I've had to learn that when you're with a woman, like you have to express your feelings so that they can know you feel a kind of way. You can't read our minds. So I may jump in front of a bullet for you, but you may not know I want to do that.
Mm-hmm.
So I know for me, I've had to learn how to like express those type of emotions. I think I heard my woman laughing downstairs, but anyway. But I had to learn how. I'm learning. I'm still learning because I come from I have a military dad. He's not emotional at all. I don't even think at 60-something years old, this is the first time I've even seen him like smiling with a woman. I've never seen that in my life. Like most of the men in my family, hard-nosed military guys, had their player phase, and now when they're in their 50s and 60s, they're now settling down and now smiling and being happy. I'm trying to do that a little bit earlier. So I know that is, you're right, and I hear that a lot because I'm not the best at it, and my issue is I'm thinking it, but I'm not saying it.
But see, I'm not an emotional female. Like my husband will say, you're not normal. You're not the normal female. I don't know if it's growing up, my dad was military. So, and I'm the only child. So I can talk, but then I'm the type of person who will just sit back and I may hold something in. You'll never know what's wrong with me. Like you may never know. And just put on a good face. But as Black women, that's what we've been instilled in us, to just be able to put on that happy face and go get the job done and keep it moving. So, but then that can also be an issue in relationships.
Definitely. And guys, we're going to pause real quick. We're going to get a word from our sponsors, but we'll be right back. All right, so thank you guys for your patience. And Yolanda, did you have a comment on what we're talking about?
Can you hear me? Can you hear me? Okay, I put on the headset because it was echoing and stuff. I did. And hey, everybody in the comment section, we don't know how to comment. Somebody text me and asked me. I don't know. We can only just see them. But I did have a comment. I agree with Toya and TT. Like we want to see that, but I think more importantly, we want it to be genuine. Like Toya, I heard her say she was married, so this probably won't apply to her, but when she was single, she may remember this, and maybe for TT too. I didn't know if she said what her status was, but out here in 2020, these people are not telling the truth, okay? They are lying. They will tell you they love you, anything under the sun for whatever their motive is. And so what happens is when you come across somebody who really may be genuine, you don't even want to give them that wow, but you have to go through so much to even figure out, are they really genuine? Are they really worth my time? And I think that even in the fact, if you're not super expressive, I think being able to express that sometimes makes the difference, but not let it be when you feel like you're in trouble, or, you know, when you feel like I'm dissatisfied, or you feel like I'm not communicating with you, that now you think something is wrong. Like, I think that when you decide to enter into a partnership with somebody, this should be your humble abode. That needs to be your refuge. At least that's what I hope to find in one whenever I get one, a good one. You know, I got to stress that. And that's a two-party thing. I'm not putting a blame on any one person, but what I am saying is, you know, in order for you to expect good results, you got to express what you're expecting. And so if you're not being clear about what you hope to receive in this union, whatever time frame that might be, then if you don't know where you're going, then you're kind of doomed to stay in the same place. That's like repeating the same behaviors and becoming insane. And we're not trying to do that in 2020. I mean, we're trying to move forward. 2020 has proven to us that anything can happen and anything can go. So why even chance that?
Yeah, and I think that's a really good point, Yoli. And what I will say is, Kevin and I are like night and day. You know, Kevin said he's like pretty nonchalant and, you know, not overly emotional or things like that. I'm on the complete end of the spectrum. Like, if I'm a communicator by nature, and if I'm feeling something, I'm going to tell you how I feel. And it's been a plus in relationships, but it's also been a detriment, because there have been some women who I've dated who've seen that as a weakness. So in some of my, you know, past relationships, I've been less inclined to do that because I didn't want to be perceived as weak, because I'm not a soft person at all. At the same time, if I'm emotional about something, I feel strongly about something, I'm gonna let you know. If there's something you did that pissed me off, I'm gonna let you know. I don't believe in going to bed mad. You know, I believe in, hey, let's stay here and let's talk about it. But, you know, there have been some women I've dated in the past where they're not as communicative, and they'd rather just, I guess, get over it and not really talk about it. But when that happens, you know, I personally feel incomplete. You know what I'm saying? So I have to talk about it. If you know, you know, I'm an emotional person. I'm a Gemini, first of all, so that may solve everything right there. But you know, if I'm feeling something, I'm gonna let you know how I feel about it. You know what I'm saying? You know, in terms of like, if there's any man who's told you that he's never cried over a woman, I'm sure you're lying. I'm sure you're lying, because it's happened. You know, it's happened, and you know, I don't see that as a weakness, because that I'm not going to let a relationship where, you know, a woman may have seen that as a weakness deter me from being who I am. You know, I'm an emotional being, and if I love you, I'm going to express that multiple times throughout the day. So that's just one of my things. So contrary to popular belief, men are not the same. We are different, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, and Terrence has a comment. Terrence says, my curiosity is this: do women equate men's emotions with security? I understand vulnerability with relationships. Where's the fine line between emotional vulnerability and the security with knowing that you have a strong man in your corner? So let's talk about that. So is there a fine line between, you know, being emotionally vulnerable and that added security? Do you guys feel that if someone is emotional, that they give you the security that someone who's less emotional may give?
No.
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 I would think showing emotion is a strength, because not many people really do it.
Yeah.
Right. And maybe it's how you express that emotional vulnerability versus the security. I don't think any woman, I don't want to speak for all women, but I would probably say a lot of women would probably take that as a plus, that you are able to be expressive and emotional. I mean, although we're using the word vulnerability, I think being able to show vulnerability actually shows strength, because I don't want somebody that is going around acting like they never cry, they get mad or nothing, because at some point they're going to explode or implode from the inside out, and then that's going to be negative to the rest of us or whatever we're trying to build. So no, I
Yeah, I think it's where
disagree
a
on
lot
that
of
part.
abuse comes from, because
Right.
a lot of people don't know how to express themselves.
Thank you, Arisha.
I was
Toya,
gonna say something else, but I forgot.
oh, you forget. You guys have anything you want to add?
No, I mean, I agree with you.
I think
You have to be able to
vulnerability
express.
and emotion is being real. Just that's being real. I need you to be real. Not expressing your emotions is fake to me. Like you're not telling me how you really feel. I don't know.
Yeah, fellas, if a woman looks at you sideways because you're emotional or you're expressing your emotion, that's a red flag. You
Yeah.
need to cut it for real.
You say you need to cut it.
Because that's how you end up with men that do a lot of what y'all don't like. Because I know, like myself and Hookmate can speak on this too. When I was younger, women didn't like men who showed any form of emotion. They wanted men to be hard and I guess what you would consider street or gangster and so forth. And what you find out as we get older, we realize that women actually do want a man that shows more emotion and more vulnerability, just plain honesty, really. And when you hear conflicting things in regards to how you're supposed to react towards opposite sex, it just creates a lot of confusion. And which is probably why a lot of men are confused now.
Yeah, and I think that it is confusing for men, and I think that, and I can't say that this is exclusively the reason why you end up in abusive situations and stuff like that. But first of all, we haven't been taught really how to control our emotions or how to really express ourselves. I think that's first and foremost. And now we are at a point, men, I mean, it's like, it's like we're confused. Like, do we show the strong side? Do we not show emotion? Or do we potentially, want to show the softer side and the more emotional side? But it eventually gets to the point where, because we don't know how to express ourselves, sometimes it can come off as being violent. You know what I mean? So when you have these men who really haven't been taught how to express themselves or how to deal with things, when they don't know how to communicate, the only communicative, mechanism they have is violence. And sometimes it can come up that way. Thankfully, I was, maybe because I was raised by women, I don't know. I've never put my hands on a woman. I have no desire to. I think it's weak for a man to do that. Not making an excuse for that. But I think that we're at a point now, especially in 2020, especially you women who are raising men or raising young boys to be men, we have to let them know that it's okay to openly express yourself and show people how you feel. And Kimberly also comments, I need to know how you feel. And I don't know, like, I'm hearing that a lot from, this podcast and the women on the panel, but just in life's experiences, it's been completely different. You know what I'm saying? So it's one of those things where, someone mentioned earlier that we have to be able to communicate our feelings. And, we have to be careful, men, I mean, in how we communicate because we don't want to be perceived as being weak. And that kind of leads me into the next point. With relationships, men really don't experience the type of, I guess, connection that they have with other people than when they're in a relationship. Because we talked about earlier that when women, you have your support. You have your sisters, your female cousins, you have your female friends, all these other things, and you can openly talk to them about certain things. But with men, again, like I mentioned earlier, when we're together at the bar, we're not talking about our feelings. We're talking about sports. So we're talking about, anything other than our feelings. So to me, it's a complete difference. And maybe Kevin can collaborate on it as well. It's one of those things where we don't really have an opportunity or an outlet to openly express ourselves.
Yeah, we're still arguing about Tupac and Biggie 25 years later. I will say this, that we do need to learn how to express our feelings between other men as far as with our friends and whatnot. Because I'll be honest with you, it'll save a lot of situations.
Yeah.
I feel like a lot of times, since we don't give each other advice, we end up in situations where we kind of just roll off our own tools, which may not be as sufficient. And then you may do what your idea of a man is, and then you end up being an alone man. because nobody's giving each other, like, we don't give each other tough love. We don't say, hey, this is not right. Don't do this. Don't do that. If you want to save the relationship, you need to go all out. A lot of times we'll just be like, oh, okay, all right, cool. We don't let them hoes and go on our business. And then at night, you on the phone crying with the girl to my baby, please, I want you back, blah, 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 blah. But I don't know, man. I don't get why we don't express stuff to each other. I know I started doing it, but then I pulled back because I realized nobody else was.
But I think it's one of the reasons is society has taught us that it's not okay for men to express our feelings. And I can't speak for the white community. I can only speak for the Black community and how I was raised. If we expressed any emotion growing up, it was more so stop being a punk. Don't be and pardon the vernacular, don't be a faggot. You know what I mean? And that's why there's so much homophobia nowadays. That's why, people are afraid to really be themselves. That's why people can't really express themselves like they want because of that negative stigma. And when you enter a relationship and the woman that you're with is not really supportive of that more emotional side, then you tend to, taper that back and you're like, you know what? I can't be, it takes you away from who you truly are. Because there are a lot of emotional men out there. There probably more emotional men than women, to be honest with you. But we just aren't at a point where, and hopefully that changes soon, but we just aren't at a point where we're comfortable enough with ourselves to openly express that.
Yeah, because to be honest with you, I've really only heard maybe within the past 4 or 5 years, women even wanting men to be emotional. I don't know if it's just a thing of maturity. I don't know because people see how Russell Wilson acts or what, but
we love Russell.
Yeah,
we love Russell.
I'm gonna tell you why a lot of men get upset with that is because we get told so many times to be more masculine, tough, such and such, and in reality, we act just like him, but we've been told to suppress that because we were told that's not what women want. And then now all of a sudden it's like a big explosion of like, this is what women want. And now again, we're confused. Like, what am I supposed to do now?
Your future days should be over. By the time you hit 30, I'll give you at the most 35. Your former future days, the artist future, should be done. When you get to but see, at least you recognize that and that happens. I think that a lot of one of you guys said this earlier about because nobody else was doing it. But I guess for women, when we think of men being leaders, it shouldn't matter if 20 other men are doing it. It's what you're doing and how you're leading the pack in that for us. And so I know for me, like when I'm interested in a guy and I'm trying to figure out if we can move forward, I feel like if your friends are going to be the dictating factor in making decisions for you for everything, I need to date your friends and not you. Because clearly you're a follower. Like you can't make a decision without that. So what happens when real life situations happen? And I need you to be the leader. If I'm not emotionally strong enough to make that decision, I need you to be able to do that. But you got to go consult with Pookie and Ray Ray or, Tyrone or whoever for you to get a solid answer. Now, that's not to say that you shouldn't get sound advice, but they shouldn't be making a decision for you. You should be able to make that on your own. And I think that a lot of times that men think that women like that we are bashing the brother code, and that's not it. I think that men want to be treated and seen as leaders, but then they get mad, especially with independent, assertive, aggressive women like myself, because I don't mind speaking my mind. In fact, I think it's a gift and a curse. But when I meet men and I say that, then it's like I'm being combative and it's challenging and you don't understand the difference. Like, it's not my fault that you take me communicating my things that I'm not willing to tolerate or those things that I am as me not knowing how to be a woman in my place. Because I'm going to say to you, then you obviously don't know your place as a man and a leader and a provider, because that's not what I understand.
Woo.
Come on now.
You definitely was talking to my lady yesterday.
Lord
Jesus.
Go ahead, TT.
Yolanda got it.
Come on, TT. Listen, come on, sis. You got it.
I was about to say something, my bad. And I think that one of the things is that You know,
No, I wasn't about to say anything.
Okay. I
But
got
she's
you.
right. At our age, man, you know, if you're in your 30s, you should know right from wrong. You should know moral from immoral. Like, it's none of this stuff is not really rocket science. You just got to actually do it.
I mean, what I will say though, because we talk about, you mentioned the Russell Wilson reference earlier. You know, he's a famous football player, and Sierra's an entertainer. If that was Russell Jefferson from around the corner in Allendale, and Sierra was just some random broad, you wouldn't be paying none of that no attention. But because they're famous, obviously we're at the point where, hey, yeah, Russell's doing. You know, Russell is the epitome of the man that we want to date. But when we average Joes show that, it's not always that same support. What I will also say, because we mentioned about men openly expressing themselves to their friends, I was talking to one of my cousins this past Friday, and I told him that I can count on one hand, and Yolanda, you know I got like 17 million cousins, right? And a brother. I can count on one hand how many times we told each other we love each other, you know, because we know it, but it's not something that we openly express. So when I'm going through stuff, you know, I don't necessarily feel comfortable going to them expressing certain things. It may be like, I think one of the guys commented earlier, I think it was Marcus, as a matter of fact. He said that, where is it? Yeah, some of us express ourselves, but it's more to one specific homeboy versus the group of fellas. So it may not be a complete network, but there should be at least one person of the same gender that you can go to really openly express yourself. Terrence says, that's interesting because as a man, I personally feel that there's a level of maturity that gets revealed in vulnerability. And as a result, I do believe that from what gets revealed in the response is a true indicator of that person's vision they have for their future, our future. So as a byproduct, it can cause me to gain a deeper interest in her or lose the interest that I've had. You don't have to be perfect by any means, but I need to know that you can hold it down when all hell breaks loose. So definitely, I do understand that. And here comes Scooter. I tell you, I love you, cuz. Yeah, when you playing, he never serious.
Has my cousin told me? I had a cousin say he loved me once. Yeah, one.
I mean, the fact is, the rules are different for men, and
Yeah,
and
man,
I think
my daddy didn't even say I love you until like 5 years ago. I'm 39 years old.
there you go. There you go. So when you say that you want men to be more communicative, when you want men to express themselves, I think we can't just start at the relationship. We have to start, you know, in terms of you know, when we're bringing these raising these boys to be men. We have to let them know that it is okay to openly express yourself. It's just not something that we've been accustomed to doing all these years.
Yeah, I will say that because, especially with social media, and honestly, women expressing the fact that men need to step up in these areas, I think there is some change happening. I don't know how much of a change, but it is. Like, I even tell you, like, my dad says he loves me. You know, he's shown love, but he's never actually said I love you to maybe like 4 or 5 years ago. And I just think that men across are starting to kind of understand more the importance of having emotion and being vulnerable. Because we're hearing now from other people like the benefits and the good and bad side of being emotional and not emotional.
Yeah, man. My daddy never told me he loved me, so that might be part of the problem, man.
Oh, it could be, yeah. I mean, I had a military dad. He was young. I mean, when I was born, he was 22. You know, and you know, the old school military guys, they were hardcore. Like the guys my dad would hang around looked like Rambo. So we didn't hear any of that kind of stuff when I was young. But you know, he's almost about 26 years removed now. So, you know, with him, he's involved himself in other cultures and in different communities and things like that. He's opening up more than what I've seen as a kid growing up. So when you know, I'm seeing it now, and I'm like, well, he can do it. And that's who I looked up to. I can do it too.
Yeah.
I still ain't doing it good enough, but I'll
Hey, baby steps.
Absolutely.
I think also just knowing your love language is important. So making sure that you know your love language. So when you do meet that person, that you guys can either take the test together if you haven't taken it, or just, you know, talk about it so that that person knows how to love you.
I read that book like 3 times and still ain't got to the end.
I mean, I think the problem with that, Toya, is that you can know your love language, but it's going to be up to your mate to accept that.
Exactly.
You know,
that's true.
You know,
that is absolutely right.
Some people only communicate
your
one
mate
way.
has to communicate your love language.
Mm-hmm.
As we have to do the same thing, of course.
Because I know with me, my love language after reading the book, mine is words of affirmation. Like I have to hear you tell me that you care about me. Because if I don't hear, then to me, it doesn't matter what you do. It doesn't matter what you give. It doesn't matter, you know, none of that matters if I don't actually hear the words that I love you. So it's not only do you have to know your love language, you have to learn your mate's love language, and you guys have to agree that okay, you're gonna be able to communicate in that way. Anita says some men seek those of the opposite sex to open up about their so-called serious relationship with another woman.
I quit doing that.
You stopped?
No. I learned that early on. I do have now. I will say this: I have one friend that's a woman I've known for at least a decade that I'll talk to, and I'll talk her. But she's also friends with my fiance, so I feel comfortable talking to her. But any other woman,
that's healthy.
No, I ain't doing it. It's always ended up bad, or they catch feelings and all that foolishness. And I've learned that in past relationships, like, you know, you cry on their shoulder and then they start crying on other things. I know. It's just not healthy. You know, if I'm going to speak to a woman about it, it's going to be a woman that my woman knows. Like, it may be a friend of hers or a mutual friend of ours. I just don't think that's good. And another thing with that is, even if you're being genuine in regards to the speaking about this, you know, not to downplay on women, but sometimes women take things the wrong way. So you may be expressing yourself about some issues you may have in your relationship, or you know, how you feel about something, and then they interpret it as something else, and then those interpretations start to travel, and then it boomerangs, and then you're in trouble because it's a totally different situation. No.
Yeah. And Toya and Yolanda, have you guys do you have male friends who vent to you about certain things?
All the time.
Mm-mm.
They're trying to vent to their lap.
Some of them, Kevin. Some of them. Let's just keep it all the way 1,000. They just be lying, saying Jesus sent them too. But for the ones that are genuine, right? That is nothing else to it. I do think that, and it's also on the women too, and how we give that advice and how we guard that, because I think in most cases men are going to try whatever they can. If they value their relationship, they won't do that. But some of them just have you know, flirtatious ways that they feel like every woman is after them, and they have to try their hand just to see if it's a chance. But I feel like even in that aspect, if they're offering that, it's on the woman who they're calling to kind of give a opposite response to that. Like, you can still give an honest answer, but they can certainly shun away that extra behavior. Okay. But I also feel like too that I think your actions and your words have to line up for women. Like, you can tell us all day I'm going to change, but if we don't see results, like, you can't apologize to me and you don't show me change behavior, because then it's just lip service. And so for me, I like both. I need to hear you say it, and I need to see you making an effort towards it. Otherwise, it's BS.
Yeah, that makes sense. And guys, we're I really appreciate the dialogue, man. I appreciate everybody commenting. So before I let y'all go, man, I wanna hear some of y'all takeaways. Like, what are some of the lasting impressions that you guys want to leave for the audience? And Toya, we'll go ahead and start with you.
So, I mean, really just say what you want up front. Expect that from the person that you may be dating. Make sure that you're both on the same page. Already let them know that you're not about the games. You don't have time to waste time. Put it all out there as far as what you're looking for.
All right, for sure. Kev, what you got?
I guess I got a couple of things. One, men, do not be afraid of expressing yourself. I'm a victim of it myself. I don't like doing it, but Women want reassurance, but they can't read our minds. Also, don't be afraid to talk to your friends, your male friends, in regards to your problems. You may be surprised that a lot of us share the same sentiments and have the same issues. So we can help each other and build each other up so that we can become better men for our women. Also, be upfront about what you want in a relationship. Because I'm sick and tired of these women on the social media with these memes and the male bashing, because y'all guys ain't telling them what you actually want. They want to be a wife. You want them to be a jump off because you have some issues in your relationship or whatever. Be upfront. You'll be surprised how far you can get by telling them the truth.
Definitely.
That's it.
And TT, what we're doing is I want you to give a takeaway to the audience. What are some of the things from today's conversation that you want to leave them with?
Say it again.
I just want you to give like some takeaways to the audience, just, some lasting impressions, some things you want them to take away from today's conversation.
As far as everything we talk about, I just think that men could be a little bit more upfront. And women, I think we need to, some of the women, not all of us, but I think some of us women need to give the men, more, something to work with, because now it's so many Cardi B's and Meg Thee Stallions right now, and I feel like men need something to respect. So that's my last comment for the conversation.
Okay, cool beans. All right, Yoli, you up?
I agree with what everybody said. I think, like TT just mentioned, I think women have to go back to giving men something to respect. But I also think that men have to go back to giving women something to be respected towards. Like, be the man that you say you're going to be. I also feel like if you are more upfront, I would rather you tell me straight up, what you're looking for early on in these first 30 days than trying to lead me on into 90 days or whatever and thinking you want something real and you really don't. Because just like I think Kevin said, you might get a little bit further with just speaking or communicating what you want. But in the end, I am a hopeless romantic, and I think that love always wins. So that's what I got. All
right. Sounds good. And again, I really want to thank everybody for joining. This was a very enlightening, eye-opening, and engaging dialogue. What I will say on a serious note, though, I know we mentioned a lot of things. We joke and laugh about some things, but for my brothers out there, because I know that we talked about men not necessarily us not being raised to openly express ourselves and really show any emotion. I am, one of those individuals who felt that way. And I'm not ashamed to say that, because I did a podcast last year, and it was about mental illness. And, those things can cause depression and certain things. So, and I'm one of those people who actually sought therapy. I know it's been taboo, especially in the Black community. But in order for me to be able to deal with my emotions and really learn how to effectively express myself, I had to seek therapy and really learn. And I learned a lot of things about myself. There are a lot of things in my past I didn't really see as being traumatic. That were actually traumatic, and I've become a much better man, a much better individual than what I was a few years ago. So, if you think you need help, man, there are a lot of resources, especially at your employer, and they may actually be able to help you out with that. So, don't be afraid to express yourself to people who love you or care about you, but also don't hesitate to seek out someone who may be able to hold an objective opinion, a licensed professional, and they may be able to help with that as well. But again, guys, this was all great dialogue, man. I really appreciate it. We're going to take a couple weeks off, man. So we've been going strong since about June or May. So we're going to take a couple weeks off, but we're going to come back to you with some even better content. In the meantime, that's going to give you guys an opportunity to catch up on the past 22 episodes. So you can search us here on Facebook at Get Hooked Podcast. You can also find us on YouTube and across all podcast platforms. So until next time, man, this has been great. We really appreciate it. And we'll see you guys next time.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.